everyone, welcome back. It's Moa, aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today we're back with another Patreon pick. And of course, the Patreon pick is when one of my Patreons in the tier Sjöar or Hav, which is the $5 and up tiers, has chosen a whiskey from my whiskey list for me to review, and I'll dedicate this video to them. So today is Matthew's choice, and I'm quite excited by the one he actually chose. It is a Scotch Whisky Society bottle, and this is G10.17. It's winter warmer. So this is a single grain Scotch whisky, a single cask. It is 12 years old. It's from the grain distillery Strathclyde in Glasgow, so it's a Lowland grain distillery. It was distilled on the 12th of July 2005, and it's been matured in a second fill wine barrique. This was also the bottle that I actually got as a leaving gift when I left my job at the Scotch Whisky Society. So it's a little bit quirky, it's fun, and it's a grain whiskey. If you've watched this channel before, you know how much I like that. So really good choice, Matthew, and of course a massive thank you for being such a wonderful supporter. And yeah, I'm so grateful I have you with me on my whiskey journey. And of course, if you are curious about maybe picking a whiskey for me to review as well, then check out my Patreon. And if you can't commit to $5, then you can make your own custom pledge for as little as $1 a month, if you're curious. But yes, let's have a little sip on this. So Strathclyde, like I said, is in Glasgow, but you could probably walk past it without ever realising that it is a grain distillery, because grain distilleries are kind of big, what's it called? Fabriker in Swedish. Just big sites, industrial sites basically. There you have massive stills that are producing lots and lots of spirits in those continuous stills. They just distill. They can make loads of spirits. And I believe this distillery was founded in something about the 1927 or something, when it was meant as a distillery for neutral grain spirit for gins. It was also based on the site of an old cotton mill. And I've actually had a few Strathclydes lately, which have been really nice. So I haven't had a sip of this for a long time, but I mean, it's a winter warmer. So what better now that we are actually getting a little bit of snow and -degrees here in Edinburgh. So let's start by having a look on the nose. It's just so weird, this one. It's sweet, but a little bit funky at the same time. It's like, this is gonna sound weird, it's like fuzzy wine gums. I mean, I wouldn't want to eat a fuzzy wine gum, but the way it feels is like a wine gum, but if the flavour of it was fuzzy, like warming and a little bit softer than the texture of wine gums. That makes sense in my head, but I don't think in anyone else's. But that's kind of how I see it. I see flavour sometimes in a colour, or sometimes in a texture, or in a shape. And I know I have a friend, Peter, who sees shapes in colours as well, and flavours as well, which is very fascinating. But yeah, it just varies, and I mean, flavour is so individual, and scent as well. So it's difficult to explain it when you want to pinpoint it, because I could sit here and go, oh, vanilla, molasses, this and that, which is what you would expect from it, but I want to try and just pinpoint the exact feeling that I'm getting from it. Cinnamon buns, I would probably say, because this is, but not quite done cinnamon buns. Like, they're a little bit doughy in the middle, so you get the butter, the cinnamon and the sugar in this doughy ball. I really like them a little bit doughy in the middle, but that's kind of when you can sense the yeast and the doughiness, but also with the sugar and the cinnamon. It's a lovely nose. It's I'm trying to just sweet fuzzy wine gums, doughy cinnamon bun, and lovely grain whiskey. It has that crispness about it. But let's have a sip. Sláinte. I remember I tried this first time and I was like, what is this? And it's, I like giving it as a blind dram to my friends because they often have the exact same reaction. It has this lovely sensation and flavour of the green whiskey, but then there's something else there. And now on the finish it's a little bit burnt and a little bit bitter, but this is a thing with this one. It's not bitter in a way that it dries out my entire mouth, it's still very juicy, which is why I don't mind the bitterness. And the bitterness in flavour is probably more like a wood bitterness. It's just enough to give a texture, but it's not enough to overpower, which is what I don't like about bitterness. I think bitterness is great just to give you another layer or another kind of feel to a whiskey. But I don't want it to be too much. I don't want it to only be bitter, then it just feels like it's either been a little bit too matured perhaps. But this one is like lagom bitterness, which is just the right amount of bitterness. Because it's, I think the wine cask gives it that bitterness from the wood, but it almost makes it slightly, oh, why is this one so tricky? Slightly funky. But then the green whiskey itself, I think it's the green whiskey, has a tropical note of pineapple. Also, I think, I want to say strawberries, but I'm not gonna, because I think that's my brain saying strawberries. Is it? Oh, now I've said it, now I'm certainly gonna get it. It's a little bit of that wine gum. And I think actually what it is, it's not strawberries, it's black currants, and I think it's the black currant wine gum. So that kind of candy notes is slightly chemical and or artificial perhaps. I think it's a very interesting whiskey. There's lots of layers to it, and it's one of those things that I just come back to and I'm a little bit amazed every time. I'm like, oh, what's this? It's and I know that a lot of people might not appreciate this one because it's a green whiskey. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's one of my favourite drams that I have from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society probably. It's a 12-year-old grain, and yeah, it's fun. I think what I forgot to say is that this one has what's that? I thought it was a spider, but it's just a little tiny bit of plastic. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so it's been in a second fill barrique. Previously it's been in a ex-bourbon. So it's a single cask, because it's all the contents from one cask, but it's been in 2 different casks, if that makes sense. I mean, it's just a yummy whiskey, and definitely a winter warmer, one that I would happily sip. It has this kind of depth to it, so it just makes it lovely for winter. And I think you could even put this in maybe like a, you can get lingonberry cordial from IKEA, and if you put a little bit of dash of this in it, and maybe if you heat it up and you keep it in your thermos when you're out walking in the winter, that would be a great idea. I think I want to try that. If only I could get to IKEA at the moment, but I might have to try that a little bit later on when things open up again. But once again, thank you Matthew for choosing this one. It is definitely one of my favourite whiskies. And I'd love to hear if you have a favourite green whisky, or maybe you have a favourite whisky from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. And of course, if you don't know what the Scotch Malt Whisky Society is, I have done a little massive video on this, and I'll try and link it up here, or if it's there, we'll see, if you're curious about that. But yeah, massive thank you Matthew once more, and I hope you like this video. And of course, I hope you're all having a lovely day. Sláinte Skål!